And that's why, you know, I felt for Kanan, because it's just like, yo, like, he don't even know what happened to her. And she was pregnant on top of that. She was pregnant on top of that with this kid. And you shot her in the head. Unforgivable.
Good luck.
Alright, what's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video. And we're here with the Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, all characters exposed, review rant of all the episodes up until this point. And basically, before I get into it, I just want to say that I'm going to be giving my thoughts on all the characters, things that have happened that were significant in this season, and I'm just going to be expounding on a whole lot of shit. So, without further ado, let's get into it. And also, side note, if I sneeze a lot, or if I'm rubbing my eyes or snorting or some shit, I got really bad spring allergies, so, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. So, I'm going to start off with who used to be my least favorite character on the show, and that's Lou. You know, formerly known as Drunken Lou. And I want to say that, I want to give him his props. You know, I want to give his character his props, because between season 3 and season 4, I think he's went through a lot of character development, and I feel like, I don't want to say I misjudged him, because all of my feelings about him in season 3 were all valid, but I feel like out of all the characters, he's definitely one of them. He's definitely one that turned a new leaf. You know what I'm saying? You know, from trying to leave the drug game, or not even that. I would say leaving the drug game and then getting his mental health in order and understanding his mental health. Because I feel like, I hope that his story doesn't really go over a lot of people's heads, because really it's a story that I think is worth note, because there's a lot of people in real life who've had the same type of struggles that he's had with alcohol and trauma and all types of shit. And it's rare that they have the strength and the fortitude to come out on the other side. So I applaud his character for not only, you know, hurdling his personal obstacles and demons, but coming out on the other side a lot better. You know, a better person, a better man. There's not really a whole lot to him in the season that's that significant, other than what just happened recently, which is, you know, he went through a similar phase that Rock went through, which is basically like, all right, so I'm going to try to leave the drug game and be legitimate. And then they hit a wall, and they come to find out that they're not really good at anything else. And what they're really good at is being a fucking criminal or a drug dealer. And I don't necessarily agree with that, but I mean, hey, like, you know, you are who you are. And if you can't accept that, then, you know, who else can? So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Lou. I don't really have anything bad to say about him, or I don't have anything, you know, like on my mind as far as his character. So yeah. Jukebox. LGBT Juke. You know what I'm saying? Now, I mean, as far as Jukebox is concerned, pretty much same thing as Lou. Like, I don't think she's really grown all that much. I mean, there are things that I like about her, and there are things that I don't really like about her. But I guess I'm gonna just start with, you know, what I actually like about her. I would say the one thing I do like about Juke is that she's always true to herself, you know, and I think she's the type of girl that doesn't really give a shit that people don't fuck with her, because she fucks with herself, and I'm just like that. And I also like that she always has Kanan's back, or she has his best interest for the most part, you know what I mean? I mean, I think the only thing I don't like about her is just that she's all cool with Rock, but then she tries to be cool with Kanan at the same time, because it's kind of like, I mean, in that sort of family dynamic, I don't think there really is such thing as picking sides, because there's really one side, which is family. But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, the way that they have each other's back is a testament to how family really should be. And the show is a constant juxtaposition of, you know, good family relationships and bad family relationships. And I think, like, you know, again, the one good quality about Jukebox is, again, is her authenticity, and also, you know, just the fact that she's a good cousin to Kanan. As far as what's happening with her in the season, like, honestly, I don't really care that much, because it's really just about her relationships with women, you know what I'm saying? Because she went to, you know, the army and shit, and that didn't work out, so now she's back in Queens, and it's really just a countdown to when she decides to become a cop. So it might not have worked out for her to, you know, be in the armed forces, but it probably is going to work out for her to be a cop because we all know what ended up happening with her in the original Power. So, you know, we haven't seen anything, you know, really change with her as of yet, but, you know, that's basically what I'm waiting for. So until that happens, I don't really have that much to say about her, you know, other than the fact that they just use her, you know, for, you know, LGBTQ, you know, propaganda and agendas and shit like that. And that shit I'm just constantly like rolling my eyes at, because the other black girl from the group, I don't remember her name and shit like that. I have no idea who she is or like her name in fucking real life, but she's cute. You know, and I hate to see that, like, they just take a pretty black girl like that and then they just put her in scenes with fucking Jukebox and then just try to pair them up as a couple, because to me that's just like a fucking waste. But anyway, that's my thoughts on fucking Jukebox, bro. Marvin. Now, if Unique wasn't a character on the show, like if he was still dead, then I would say that Marvin is my favorite character on the show. You know, he's my second favorite character on the show. You know, Marvin is an interesting character because I feel like he's got something going on with him that he hasn't openly admitted yet. I don't know what it is. I think he does have aspirations as far as, you know, like stepping out of Raquel's shadow and shit like that. You know, because I think he's better than just being her right-hand man. And I understand that. Like, that's his sister. You know, he's going to have her best interest. He's going to look out for her. He's going to have her back. And he's going to, you know, be like her, you know, second in command, her lieutenant and shit. You know, so he's going to be the underboss and execute a lot of shit and get his hands dirty so she doesn't have to. So I respect that. But one thing I really do respect is the conversation that he had with her when he was like, yo, like, everything not about you. Like, everything I got to do doesn't have to do with you. Bro, like, yeah, maybe I wanted to go do some shit on the side, because he's his own man. You know what I'm saying? Like, men don't. I'm not gonna, like, I don't have anything against women. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be sexist when I say this, but men don't answer to women, bro. You know what I mean? Like, we'll answer to y'all, and I'm not trying to say that like I believe in a patriarchal society, because, you know, black people tens of thousands of years ago, we were enforcers of the law, and women were the ones who were the lawmakers. If you get what I'm saying. So, but at the same time, it can't be like I'm following you so much to the point where, like, you know, my own ambitions and the things that I want out of life are taking a backseat to you, because that's not fair. So I would never fault Marvin for wanting to go out and do his own thing. I just think that he just needs to, if he's going to walk away from Rock, cool, but it's like, don't get your hands so dirty to the point where, like, now you can't even walk away, because now you're going to have to constantly look over your shoulder and watch it back. My other criticism about Marvin is that nigga early, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't even have this dude on my list of characters that I wanted to talk about, but that motherfucker, him, who pretty much put the battery in Unique's back to think that Raquel did him dirty and shit like that, you know, Marvin was wrong for basically letting a loose end walk around. Like, people like that got beef with you, like on a television show like that, you don't leave it such where they can come back and get their get back on you. You know what I'm saying? So if a nigga like that came up to me and was like, yeah, you know, we're not gonna let you get away with doing this and that, you know, you're gonna have to answer for it and shit. And if I tell him, all right, so what you gonna do about it? Nigga, I would have killed him on the spot. I wouldn't have, you know, let him walk away, because I know for a fact a guy like that is going to come back, you know, at some point, and he's not going to come back by himself because he was too pussy to do something on the spot, you know. So I know he's gonna try to get me when I'm at my most vulnerable. So Marvin made a big mistake by letting him walk away, because it's like, yeah, what you gonna do about it? He's not gonna do anything by himself. So I know it's like, if something's going to happen to Marvin, is going to probably be too early. You know what I'm saying? Because characters like him, they don't leave them alive, you know, without them having some sort of significance to the story. You know, other than like fucking, you know, the Oompa Loompa, you know, OC. Gotta go. OC the Oompa Loompa, like motherfuckers like him, like they kill characters like that off right away. You know, because they served their purpose already. Versus early, he's going to spin the block on Marvin at some point. And I hate that for him, because again, it's probably going to happen at the worst time. Especially the fact that he went to freaking Tony Danza and shit, you know, Stefano, to tell him, you know, what happened. So, and Yeah, and you know what's funny? I think there is such thing as being, you know, loyal to a fault. You know what I mean? Because at the same time, human beings, you know, you need every adult. I mean, even kids too. You know, all human beings need a certain level of self-preservation in order to survive. You know what I mean? You can't always think about somebody else. You know, you're gonna have to think about yourself at some point. It's like my nigga, I can't. If the plane is going down, I can't save you until I get myself situated. So until I get my life mask on, I can't worry about yours until I get myself situated. You know, and I think Marvin, in order for him to make it to season 5 or make it through season 5 or some shit, you know, he's going to have to start to look out for himself. And I know Stefano already started to put the battery in his back, but again, he wasn't trying to do that because he's being loyal. And again, he's not wrong for that. But you know, I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But also, one thing I like about Marvin is that Marvin, he has a good heart. And I feel like out of everybody on that show, I think he might have the biggest heart out of everyone. And the reason why I say that is because even now, he's still looking out for the little white girl and everything. And it's really screwed up that, you know, it's like, because art imitates life. So when you have orphans and shit, they can literally just get thrown into the system and get paired with a family or get adopted by a family that's like on some fucked up bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because he's checking on her, you know, going to the school to find out how she's doing, and then they're telling him, oh, yo, she ain't been here in weeks. And he's like, yo, you told me that weeks ago. Where is she at? And then he literally gotta bribe the guy to fucking, you know, give him her address to find out where she's at. And then lo and behold, you know, she's in there with the skinhead, you know, meth head rednecks and shit. You know, they got her all locked up in the back of the house. Lord knows what was going on in there. You know what I'm saying? She's in there with the baby. Like, what the hell is going on? So the fact that somebody like him is literally taking the time out of his life to make sure that, you know, the innocent, you know, like an innocent little girl like her is okay, you know, knowing, you know, the circumstances that got her to that point, that says a lot about Marvin. And that's why, you know, pretty much, yeah, if not for Unique, you know, he's one of my favorite characters on the show, you know, because he has an honor about himself that a lot of characters don't have. Like, he's a righteous dude. And I fuck with that. So, as far as my predictions, yeah, I mean, I think, you know, something's going to happen, you know, between him and Rock, where one of them is going to have to make a decision. And I'd hate to see it because, you know, I mean, again, like, if I had to root for Rock or Marvin, I'm going to always root for fucking, you know, Marvin and not Raquel. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Marvin. All right. Now, I want to talk about Famous a little bit. Just a little bit, because again, oh my god damn, see, that's a sign I shouldn't even be talking about this guy. Basically, you know, Famous, I never cared about his character, to be honest with you, and I'm not sure why everyone cared so much that Famous died, as if like I couldn't understand all that chatter, you know, coming from somebody like Marvin dying or Lou dying, but Famous, come on, bro, like, what was so great about his character to begin with? Now, I'm gonna say this. The reason why I dislike Famous even more now in his death than I did when he was alive is because of, look at all the trouble that he caused. And I'm going to expound on that, you know, a little bit later. But a lot of shit happened because of the dumb shit that he was doing. You know what I'm saying? And I can't even say good riddance, because it's just like, yo, like, he just caused so much fucking, you know, trouble. Because he was going around, you know, I guess saying whatever it is that he was saying. And again, I would have to go back to season 3 to fucking remember. But he was chattering too much. Like, he was just too fucking messy. And you gotta understand why somebody like, you know, Kanan was mad at him and playing him to the left is because, yo, let's keep it real. He was a dumb nigga. He wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. He might have been a nice guy, you know what I'm saying? But the fact that he was getting all involved in shit that he shouldn't have been involved in, that was his fault. That wasn't anybody else's fault. Now, do I think he deserved to be, you know, brutally tortured by crooked cops and shit? No. You know what I mean? I think a bullet would have fucking sufficed. You know, so I'm not happy that he went out like that. But at the same time, I'm not mourning this character's death at all, because he just wasn't worth, he just wasn't worth all the trouble that, he wasn't worth all the trouble that he caused. So, I mean, yeah. So, you know, that's my thoughts on Famous. And speaking of dumb characters that do dumb shit, You know, I'm gonna talk about Rilla real quick because I think he's stupid too. Like he's just like he's kind of like the Zeke of Raising Kanan right now. He's just not. He's just like not a smart guy. You know what I mean? And same thing. It's like a lot of shit happens as a result of dumb decisions. And then him, it's just like, yo, come on, man. Like, it's like it never occurred to him that robbing the the record label guy was a dumb idea. It was stupid, and it was so stupid that he didn't even want to get out the car and participate. Like, it's like, so if that's the case, why even do it then? Because that ruined his career. That shit threw Lou back into a life of crime. And then now, you know what I'm saying, the only thing that's probably going to happen with Rilla in the future is that Lou is probably going to call him when it's time for him to make a move on Unique or some shit. So it's like, I don't really see the purpose of Rilla's character, especially, again, like, for him to not go on to be a rapper and shit like that. It's like, the whole purpose of his character was just to, like, derail shit and to be the catalyst for things going wrong. Like, the catalyst for catastrophe, basically. And honestly, like, his raps suck. He just always has, like, this dumb look on his face. His voice sounds stupid. He kind of, like, his voice kind of reminds me of, like, Patrick from fucking SpongeBob. Like, I just don't like the guy. You know what I mean? And if he caught a bullet by the end of the season, honestly, I really wouldn't even care. So that's my thoughts on Rilla. All right. Now, I want to switch gears, and I want to talk about Unique real quick. And I don't have a lot much to say. I do want to say, though, that Joey Badass is a really good, like, actor for that particular role. Like, I'm not sure, you know, how well he would transition into another character, like, in a different show or different, you know, like, movie or some shit like that. But the character of Unique, this guy has down pat, and he plays it, like, authentically, you know. So I will give him, like, 2 thumbs up for that. You know, but I feel like him coming back to life, to me, I didn't really like that initially, because I was just like, all right, so if he comes back, what can they actually do with his character? Like, what can they do? And then, you know, as the season started to go on, I'm like, okay, like, all right, cool, you know, I'm cool with this, you know, like the re-representation of Unique and shit like that, and the fact that he has, like, some sort of, you know, CTE, head trauma that kind of triggers, like, a dual personality within him. Cool. Right? But as of right now, I don't necessarily see things going well with Unique. And here's why. And it's something that I literally just said on Facebook, like, a little bit earlier, and it got a pretty decent response. And it's the fact that Unique doesn't have anybody behind him in Queens right now. So therefore, he is forced to work with niggas from New Jersey that don't even really rock with him like that. And you could already really see those signs. Because these guys aren't behind him. They're just niggas for hire. They're just motherfuckers for hire. So they're going to turn on him at some point. And the reason why I say that is because of that scene in the last episode, the most recent one, where he goes to the guy that killed Quan, and he was like, oh, you know, you a tough nigga. Like, you know, what they feeding niggas like you? He was like, what they feeding niggas in New Jersey? And homie said, New York niggas. And he wasn't even joking when he said that. Like, he was looking like dead at him in his face. And something in me thought that that guy was Breeze, just based off of the way that they introduced his character and the fact that that conversation got cut off a little bit too quick. Because it's like he said that, and then everybody started laughing, and then Unique was going to respond, but then Kanan showed up. You know what I mean? So that way that interaction really wasn't finished. So meaning that something could possibly happen between him and the niggas from New Jersey as to where they turn on him. Because if he's not going to have enough bread to pay them, they're either going to leave him high and dry, or they're going to, you know, exercise whatever they got to exercise on him because they're his muscle. Without them, he doesn't really have anybody behind him. Because, you know, the other, you know, freaking Marlon Brando, Godfather dude from New Jersey, he don't rock with Unique either. So Unique doesn't really have anybody. Unique is kind of on an island, and he doesn't really realize that. And this is why he's trying to, you know, link up with Kanan so that way he can, you know, have more backing behind him. You know, because motherfucking Snap, Crackle, and Pop, you know, yeah, they're behind him, but they're not really behind him the way that they're behind Kanan. At least, you know what I'm saying? I don't think so. Because, you know, as far as they knew, Unique was dead. So Unique was a done deal until, like, he came back out. And we don't know what their master plan is as far as like the conversation that happened between Unique and Snap, Crackle, and Pop. And I'm calling them that because I don't like them niggas no more. And I'm gonna talk about them, you know, in a minute. But Unique, he's a character that, you know, I would say he's a lot like Marvin, where, yeah, he lives a life of crime, and he's a drug dealer and shit, and he does have to get his hands dirty, but he's still a nigga with honor. The shit that happened between him and Ronnie aside still shows the fact that, like, he's got some character, you know, and he is a character, you know, to be respected. You know, I don't have anything bad to say about Unique at all. I mean, I think, you know, Unique is just confused because, again, he went through head trauma, had amnesia and shit, and then the one nigga early, you know, his own one source of information was a fucking complete liar. You know, that nigga fucking lied to him. So, yeah, I don't really have anything bad to say about Unique, but I do think that, you know, there is a likelihood that he may not make it out of season 4 alive. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because we didn't hear about nobody called Unique in the first, you know, franchise of Power. So if Unique dies, right, then Snap, Crackle, and Pop, they're going to replace Unique with Breeze. And the reason why I say that is because at the very end in the trailer, and I'm gonna talk about Breeze a little bit later, but at the very end of the, you know, the episode, and it showed the trailer for, I guess, the season finale and shit, they showed his shoes and it showed his hand. Why? Because this is the character that we've all been waiting to see. And they're like, oh, I think this is going to be, oh my gosh. But they're like, yeah, I think this is going to be, you know, a hell of an arrangement or a fruitful arrangement or some shit, you know, so that's why. So it might not be Unique that ends up partnering up with Kanan, but it might be somebody else that they like, because Snap, Crackle, and Pop, they know a whole lot of people, you know, clearly, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, they might go and get Breeze, they know him from somewhere, and they might be like, yeah, this your new partner. You know, so you gonna be up under him. And then throughout that process, that's when Kanan and Breeze are gonna get to know each other, and then we're gonna get Origins at some point. So, but yeah, that's my thoughts on Unique. Shout outs to Joey Badass. Now, alright. Let me talk about Krystal for a minute. Alright. She was a character that I truly didn't give a fuck about, but because, you know, I'm a guy that, you know, I hate to see innocents die, I truly hate the way that her character went out. And I'm going to criticize the writers on that show, because I get that this is a hood show, but you don't have to go all the way hardcore like that. And I mean, shout outs to them for not showing it. It's implied, but that's really fucked up what happened to her character. Like, y'all didn't have to do all of that, bro. Like, you could have let her go. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna talk about my issue with Kanan in a minute, but what happened to her could have been prevented had Kanan been more careful. Because if she was my girl, and I'm living a life of crime, I would have did exactly what Unique did. If I gotta get my girl out of town, I'm driving her out of town myself. I'm not putting her on a bus. I'm not putting her on a train. I'm not getting my best friend to do it. I'm not getting nobody. I'm doing the shit myself. Because if she's, you know, my girl, if she's my queen on the chessboard, I have to ensure her safety. I can't trust anybody to do that. So if you notice, Unique took his girl, and then he brought her up to that new house himself and said, yo, you have to stay here. That was Kanan's job, to ensure her safety. Because the shit that happened to her is basically what would have happened to fucking, what the fuck is her name from Snowfall? Basically Franklin's aunt in Snowfall. That's what happened to her. You know what I'm saying? Because Snap, Crackle, and Pop, who I'm going to talk a whole lot of shit about in a minute, you know, they did her dirty. They did her dirty. Because not only did, alright, you get these dirty ass, worthless, you know, meaningless NPC cops and screw the actors that portray these guys, because that shit is horrible. But you get these guys to go, you know, capture her, get her off the damn bus, okay? Now we see, then the next time we see her, she's in some fucking locked up dungeon cell somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Stripped down pretty much, on a fucking mattress with bruises on her. We already know what happened to her. We know what happened to her. Especially when, you know, Pop or Snap, whatever her fucking name is, wanted to say, oh yeah, you know, yeah, you've been doped up for a week or some shit. Like, what the, like, yo, she's an innocent, my nigga. And then I honestly thought that those two, who were supposed to be OGs and all this shit, you would think that they would have had more honor than that. Like, yo, she ain't involved in this shit. All right, cool. Capture her, find out what she knows, and my nigga, let her go. I mean, I get that she would have been a liability because then she would have went and told Kanan what happened, and then they would have alerted him. But yo, y'all didn't have to go ahead and do that, because I'm pretty sure they could have just asked Kanan what he thought was going on and went straight to him. So if you wanted to flip Kanan against Rock, you could have just did that direct with him. It didn't take all that much to get Kanan to believe that, you know, his mother was on some bullshit, because he felt that way anyway. And he trusted, you know, fucking snap, crackling motherfucking Pop. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm looking at, I'm judging that situation from the aspect of, like, if she was my girl type shit, and how heartbroken I would have been if that was the case. Because she's my queen, I gotta ensure her safety. If we're in hostile territory, then I have to be the one to escort you out of hostile territory. You know what I'm saying? Not, you know, oh, yeah, get on the bus and go. What the fuck kind of rookie-ass mistake is that? If I know niggas is after me, to get to me, they're going to get to her. That's like textbook superhero shit. Superheroes, they can't be in relationships because they know that the enemies, they're not going to attack them directly. They're going to go after the girl. Spider-Man, to get to Spider-Man, they're always going to kidnap Mary Jane. To get to Superman, they're going to go after Lois Lane. Batman, whatever girlfriend Bruce Wayne has at that particular time, they're going to go after her. I can't risk that. So it's either I can't be in a relationship with you, period, or I got to get you out of town. I got to get you way out of town where they don't even know where you at. And I cannot trust public transportation to escort you to safety. You know what I'm saying? Because, yeah, like, you know, the actress that played her, she was mad cute, you know? And I mean, honestly, like, I had a feeling something was going to happen. But when she came to get her out the cell, she was like, oh, what did they do to you? So I was like, okay, so then maybe she might relate to her from a woman aspect. Nope. Nope. She gave that girl her last piece of bread and shot her in the fucking head. She shot her in the head. And I was like, wow, honestly, that was hard to watch. And I didn't like that. You know, like, yeah, characters are disposable on power and shit like that, but come on, bro. Like, Famous, okay, fine. Like, all right, fine. Famous, cool, because I didn't like him anyway. But the pretty black girl, no, you don't do that. You don't do that. No, absolutely fucking not. And that shit bothered me, because now you got Kanan, who I'm about to talk about next, is, you know, aimlessly walking around trying to find his girl, and then, you know what I'm saying, freaking, you know, unbeknownst to him, yo, bruh, they sexually assaulted her, left her hungry, drugged up and shit, in a freaking dungeon and shit. Then the one person, the OG that you trust, went and got her, pretended that she had her best interest to get her, to let her guard down, and then shot her in the head. And you don't even know where she is. And I honestly blame Kanan, because again, it's his fault. So, rest in peace, Krystal, man. I just, yeah. You know, if she was my girl, that wouldn't have happened. If she was my girl, that wouldn't have happened. Now, Kanan. I really like Kanan, you know what I'm saying? I think between season 3 and season 4, I think I really began to enjoy his character a lot more. And I think the actor, I think his name is Mackay Curtis or some shit. I don't know what, Mackay something. You know, he does a really good job of portraying Kanan, but also showing that progressive change in his character, going from, you know, a regular kid to becoming who Kanan would go on to become later on in the story, in the franchise. But basically same thing that I had to say about, you know, Krystal, is just that I mean, again, he's just now getting into shit, so he don't know. You know what I mean? That was a rookie mistake, and in reality, he is a rookie. Like, Kanan is still new to this shit. He's still new to the game, so he didn't know. But I feel like when he finally finds out what happened to Krystal, his heart is gonna turn cold. His heart is gonna turn cold. Because it's like, if you wonder why he's able to do like crazy cold ass shit in the original Power, it stems from shit like that happening to him. And honestly, like, if I was him, all bets are off. Like, I don't give a fuck about nothing no more. On some paid in full, freaking money making miss type shit, like, nigga, I'm about to be on some straight murder beef shit, bro. Like, it's over. everybody that looked at me funny is fucking dead. It's fucking dead. I just don't care about nothing no more. I don't give a fuck about shit. Like you got rid of, like, you literally killed the person that was closest to me, and she had nothing to do with this shit. She was just my girl. Like, and she didn't even know nothing. Like, she didn't know anything. Like, she wasn't even involved. Like, I couldn't say something like that happened to Jukebox, because she's kind of sort of involved, at least more so than Krystal. So, but like I said, like, I can only fault him to a certain extent, because like I said, like, he doesn't know. Unique was deep enough in the situation to know, like, all right, I have to be the one to get my girl out of town. So let me go take her, make sure she understands you can't leave, and then go back to hostile territory. Go back to the war zone. Because that's what he should have done. Now, I do want to speak to Kanan's relationship with Raquel. And the reason why I want to speak to it is because I lived that relationship that he has with his mother. You know what I'm saying? I literally lived that whole scenario pretty much, minus the drugs and the violence and all that type of shit. I really resonate with Kanan's character because of that, because I literally share in that personal struggle, because it is a struggle to have, you know, negative relationships with your parents, and that's just not fun. Like, it's not fun at all, you know, and it's very unfortunate. Like, it's sad that you come into this world and you're born to certain people, and then those are the people that you fuck with the least. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even the fact of, like, oh, I hate their guts, because I don't think, and again, I can only speak from my perspective, but I'm pretty sure this is accurate. Like, Kanan doesn't hate Raquel, right? But you get to a point where you've been slapped in the face so many times, you've just been, like, done wrong so many times, or disappointed or let down, that it's just like you come to a realization, yo, I want nothing to do with this person. And you want to live your own life. It's like, yo, my nigga, I want nothing from you. I don't want shit from you. So it's like, yeah, you could try to offer me money, some type of support, whatever. I don't want it. Like, I want nothing to do with you. I don't hate your guts. I don't want to see, like, anything bad happen to you. But as far as, like, us having a relationship, my nigga, I don't want it anymore, because I'm just done. I'm fed up. Because, again, like, you can be let down but so many times before you're like, you know, fuck it, I don't even care anymore. Like, I really don't even fucking give a fuck. And you have to allow people to grow. You have to give people the space to grow. And, you know, this is kind of like a fusion between my thoughts on Raquel and Kanan. But it's like, no nigga wants a fucking helicopter mom or a helicopter dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, like, you get to a certain age, bro, I'm an adult too. I'm a man too. So therefore, you have to allow me the space to be a man and make my own decisions and live my own fucking life without your influence whatsoever, because it's not needed anymore. Like, nigga, I don't need you, so fall the fuck back. And I know what it's like to have parents that they're like, yeah, okay, I want you to grow up, but, you know, I want you to grow up, you know, but so much. You know what I mean? I want you to go out in the world, but I only really want you to go across the street or stay down the street. You know, go out into the world, but stay where I can see you. Like, nigga, fuck that. Fuck that. It's like, I'm my own man. So I should be able to live my life, you know, like, on my terms without you. And again, like, where a parent like Raquel goes wrong, or where, like, the last straw for Kanan is, like, literally, like, you're really trying to manipulate my life and make it such where, like, I need you. Like, I can't function without you. And you gotta understand, there are a lot of parents who are like that, where, you know, it's like they need you to need them, and then they will, like, purposely not help you or sabotage your life. It's where, like, you're always going to need them for some fucking, you know, form of a handout or support. Because when she put that gun in his fucking bag, it's like, yo, like, we're done. Like, I'm done with you. And I 1000% understand. Because when you're a nigga that, like, you know what that's like, it's like, and again, I'm at that point now, you know, where I don't hate your fucking guts, ma, but I don't want shit to do with you. It's like, my life is 1000% better when we have no words. We have little to no words. When we have no interactions. Because when you don't, it's like parents like that, When you don't need them anymore, you immediately take the power out of their hands. And then what can they bring to your life at that point? That's the question. And that's what's going to tell you, like, whether or not they're a good parent or not. It's like, okay, like, if it's not about me cutting a check or me buying you something, what can I bring to your life? And parents like Raquel or Monet or some shit like that, they have nothing to bring to the table. They don't have shit to bring to the table. Nothing to bring to the table whatsoever. So when you see Kanan like with like very little patience or tolerance for this woman, you gotta understand where he's coming from, because she just didn't allow him, she didn't want him to live his own life. It's like, maybe if she would just respect him as the man that he was becoming, then maybe they could have a relationship. But it's all her fault. Like, I don't blame Kanan at all. Like, because it might, to the naked eye, you know, it might look like, you know, Kanan is, you know, like arrogant and he's like, you know, like a spoiled brat type shit, but that's not even the case. Like, it's only like that, it only can look like that from the outside looking in, but when you really know what that's like, it's like you can totally understand where he's coming from. I totally understand where he's coming from. And now, if Kanan were to really believe that Raquel would actually kill Famous, it's her fault. It's her fault. Because you convinced him that you were that type of person when you did shit like put a gun in his bag and send him to school, knowing he was going to get caught, knowing that Child Protective Services were going to say, Kanan, now you have to live with your mom. And I understand that she was trying to do that to keep him out of harm's way and blah, 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 but it's like, no. Like, you've already exposed this nigga to too much. It's all your fault. Like, everything that's happening to Raquel right now that's bad as far as their relationship is concerned, it's all her fault. Because she was like that with Marvin, to a lesser degree. She was like that with Lou, where she looked this nigga in his fucking eyes, looking mad evil, looking like, you know, a pitch black Maleficent, talking about, you know, I own you and all types of shit. Like, so if she feels like that about those two, how do you think she feels about her own son? Same thing. Same thing. It's like, I want you to live life on my terms. I'm going to treat you like a robot, and I'm going to input, you know, your behaviors, and I'm going to tell you how you're supposed to think and behave and act. And if you step out of that frame, then I'm going to manipulate you like a puppet to try to get you to act the way that I want you to act. Because I literally have a rant from damn near 4 years ago. And I said that, you know, people are going to want you to be the version of you that makes them feel the most comfortable. And the version of Kanan that will make Rock feel the most comfortable is the version of Kanan that's always there. That's like attached at the hip. You know, in reality, you know what she wants Kanan to be? A son husband. That's what she wants Kanan to be. A fucking son husband. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause she ain't got no man in her life. You know what I'm saying? Or she didn't, you know what I'm saying, other than Unique. And I'm pretty sure Unique is, you know, significantly younger than she is. You know what I'm saying? So that's how she was getting that fixed, by dating a significantly younger man. Because that's how, you know, I'm just saying, no shade to black women. I love y'all, but I'm just saying. That's how, you know, bitter, older black women act. When they're single, and then the one son that they do have, they want to, if they don't have a good relationship with the father, then they try to make, you know, the son a son husband. A son husband. So it's like, you know, like we're you know, you got to live with me. You gotta do everything that I say. You gotta like whatever it is that I like. And then if you try to, you know, live a life outside of me, I'm going to try to sabotage you because I want you to be a son husband. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. It's like, no, I refuse to be that. And I know what that's like. You know what I'm saying? I refuse, you know, to support some shit like that, to be a part of some shit like that, because that's not your job. That's not your fucking job. Your job is to nurture and to fucking, you know, freaking support anything it is that I want to do, not what you want to do, nigga. Hell no. Hell no. So it's like the respect that I have for Kanan is a lot higher, because again, like, I see myself in that character. Even you know, because I didn't even talk about this shit with Lou, but I'll probably splice this in there. But you know, even when Lou was saying how, you know, like, oh, that's your mother, right? And then he was like, that's what the paperwork says. Cause yo, like, that's just the harsh reality. It be like that sometimes. Like, yeah, the only thing that can show that, yeah, she's my mom is the paperwork, the hospital paperwork. But as it relates to our relationship, yo, it doesn't reflect that. It don't reflect that. And I understand, you know, exactly, you know, what that's like, because again, like, you know, I live that shit. So, but as far as, you know, Kanan goes, I know that, wow. So I know that they tried to situate they edited the trailer to make it seem like Kanan is gonna be the one to kill Raquel, and I don't think that's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, even like in book 2, like the last episode, they tried to make it seem like Woody was going to die. You know what I mean? Like in the last one, and then Diana was like, no, when he got shot. It's like, and the nigga lived. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I do know that shit's going to come to a head between the two of them, but I don't think. My prediction is that I don't think Kanan is going to be the one to pull the trigger on his mother. At least I don't think so. And then if he does, somebody else is going to do it, but it's not going to come out. Like, basically, Kanan is never going to find out that Snap, Crackle, and Pop were the ones that offed Famous. If she dies, she's going to die, and he's still going to think that she was the one that killed his friend. Fucking Famous. So he probably isn't going to know the truth. At least I don't think so. I don't know. But yeah, you know, those are my thoughts on Kanan for the most part, because he's just a nigga that can stand on business. And the same thing that Unique said, the same thing I said about him, is like, yo, that nigga told Unique to his face, not knowing how he was going to react. And that nigga said, yeah, I fucking killed Ronnie. That nigga needed to be checked, so I fucking checked him, and I would do it again. I respect that, because, hey, shit, like, it is what it is. Like, my nigga, like, that might have been your brother, but I had to do what I had to do. And I would do it again because I wasn't wrong. That nigga needed to be checked. And it's true, because Ronnie was wilding out. I liked Ronnie, but yeah, he was wilding out. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, those are my thoughts on Kanan. All right, Snap, Crackle, and Pop. Now, and if you don't know the reference, that's like a fucking old cereal or some shit that like back in the 2000s or some shit like that I fucking remember. All right. So let me give you my initial thoughts on those two. Now, as the season 3, season 4 was going on, I liked them, and the reason why I liked them was because they just seem like two characters that have like a rich backstory that, like, me as a viewer knows nothing about, and I'm curious about it, right? And, you know, they're very respectable, you know what I'm saying? Like, they, you know, every time we saw them, they were always in that fucking restaurant and shit, you know? And they just seem to have a lot of pull and a lot of influence that is being revealed to us as time progresses, right? Because even that exchange that they had with Raquel, and she was like, yo, stay the fuck away from my son, blah blah blah, and he was like, oh, you know, this shit just became about us now. She just came in here and blah blah blah, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, so I wonder what they're going to do. Like, because I'm like, they just can't just be these side characters that are just there, you know, these powerful people, and they're just not gonna do nothing. So now we're starting to see them making moves. But at the same fucking time, do what you gotta do to Famous. I don't care about that nigga. But you killed Krystal, you know, the sexy, good-looking black girl, and you kill her, and not only, it's not even that you just killed her. You hired these stupid-ass cops, like I said before, and I'm gonna say it again, you hired these stupid-ass cops to go pick her up from the fucking bus. Then you allow them to fucking sexually assault that girl, when literally all you had to do was ask her a simple question. What does Kanan know? Okay, cool, bye. You better not tell him, or we're gonna kill you. You could have threatened her. You didn't even do that. You just sentenced her to corporal punishment and shit. You're not even corporal punishment, but inhumane ass punishment. And then freaking I didn't even know what to call her. Freaking bedwench Snap, whatever her freaking name is. You know, want to go in there, and because to me that was truly evil. Like, to me that was really evil. Like, you pretended to be a woman, an actual woman, because she's not a real woman. She's a bitch. But let me go on. You pretended to be a real woman and care for this girl. You know, gave her a little nasty, you know, peanut butter sandwich. You know, I think it was white bread that he gave. Not even wheat bread. You gave her white bread. You know what I mean? So some nasty sandwich, and you know she gonna eat it because she hasn't eaten in a week. You know, Lord knows what happened to her in that freaking room on that nasty mattress and shit with these dirty ass cops. You know, and then you find out that information while she's eating. You didn't even let her finish the damn sandwich, and you killed her. Come on. Come on, like that is unforgivable. That is unforgivable. Because you didn't need to do that. It wasn't necessary. You didn't have to do that. It's the same shit that Tariq was saying to Effie, you know, wild ass. He was like, yo, you didn't have to kill her. She was leaving town. You didn't have to do that. And at least Effie, you know, knocked her out, put her in the car, and put her in the goddamn water. She didn't, you know, subject her to being sexually assaulted, because there are some things worse than death. You know what I mean? Like, you might as well just kill a motherfucker instead of torturing them, because you know what that was? That was torture. They tortured her. And even when she came out, she was still loyal to Kanan. She was still loyal. All she said was, yo, yeah, Kanan thinks that Rant did it. That's all she said. It wasn't even like she was holding on some, like, priceless information that they needed to know. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, even when it came to Famous, like, I didn't even know what they had to do with Famous, because everybody thought that Marvin did it. Everybody thought Marvin did that shit. In reality, it wasn't Marvin, it was those two. And they wasn't even the ones that did it. It was the cops. So it's like there was no way that anybody could have really guessed that it was them that was behind Famous's death. You know, which was deserved, but that's, you know, neither here nor there. But as of right now, it's like I don't look at those two the same way anymore. Honestly, I don't. Because, again, like, women and children, you don't involve them. You don't fucking involve them. Unless she's, like, a drug dealer herself and she's involved in the game, okay, fine. Okay, fine. Because that's like in Snowfall. Yeah, she was about to be sexually assaulted. You know what I mean? Why? Because she was involved. So it's like, I couldn't really feel bad about what was about to happen to her character, because it's like, well, you kind of brought it on yourself. I mean, I don't condone that type of shit, but I'm just saying, she wasn't an innocent. But if you're an innocent, like, you're a civilian, why does she have to die? Why does she need to be tortured? You know, because those two are really fucked up. And I get you're OGs and you're from back in the day and blah, 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 but come on now. Come on now. Where's your empathy as a woman? As a woman, like, I can understand if the nigga called the shots, but clearly she was the one involved, because she was the one to go finish the job. You know, yeah, get her, you know, get in the room, you know, soften her up and shit like that, you know, rough her up and shit, and then I'm gonna come and finish the job. Like, that's fucked up. That is fucked up. You know what I mean? And I don't relish in seeing that type of shit on television. I really don't. I really don't. And I get that it's just TV and shit like that, but it evokes real emotions within audiences. People cry when they watch television shows and movies and shit like that. So when I see, you know, something as heinous and evil as that being simulated on television, it bothers me. It really does. It really does. And that's why, you know, I felt for Kanan, because it's just like, yo, like, you don't even know what happened to her. And she was pregnant on top of that. She was fucking pregnant on top of that with this nigga's kid. And you shot her in the fucking head. Unforgivable. You know, those two, you know, senior citizen geezers, I don't fuck with either of them no more. And I don't know, like, if at some point Kanan's ever going to find out. Maybe he will. I don't know. I don't know. But I truly hope that they get theirs. Because that's fucked up. Any sort of respect that I had for them, you know what I'm saying, when that nigga was like, when they were checking Ronnie, and I like that about them. I was like, yo, they're not about to just let Ronnie come up in there and just talk shit to them or whatever, talking about, I need this work. Fuck, Ronnie. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. They were like, yo, that's why your little socially maladjusted ass is in here asking for our motherfucking counsel. Like, I rocked with that. I was like, yo, I fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? But then now, no, absolutely not. Absolutely fucking not. Freaking, you know, I didn't even know what to call them other than senior citizen geezers. Geezers. They're lame as fuck. They're horrible, trash-ass characters. And I will never forgive them for that. So that's my thoughts on ugly, fugly-ass, old-ass, snap, crackle, and whack-ass pop. Fuck them. Alright. And so, while I'm at it, you know, let me talk about Raquel for a minute. Now, I'm going to make a comparison between Raquel and Monet. Wow. Okay. So, I'm going to make a comparison between those two real quick. Now, like I said earlier, you know, I said a lot of what I had to say about Raquel earlier, but what I will say about her is that she it's hard to say who's the better mother between her and Monet because they're both trash. But it speaks to something that I might have said in my previous rant about Monet, where you can't just love somebody however way, you know, you're capable of loving them. It doesn't fucking work like that. Okay? Like, everybody in your life, and let me also preface by saying this too, that like I talk about real shit on my channel. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it ain't just entertainment, it's real shit. Anyway, so you can't say to somebody you love, like, I'm just going to love you the way that I know how. That might not be good for them. That might not be good for them. As a fucking parent, you have to have kids because you fucking asked for them. They didn't ask for you. You asked for them. And then based off of how they grow up, you see the way that you'll come to realize the way that they need to be loved. Because they're going to develop their own personality, their own likes, their own dislikes, you know what I'm saying? And they might be very much different from you. You know what I'm saying? I can't say, oh, because I like this or I like that, then that means automatically my son has to like it just because he's my fucking son. No. No. No, he's his own person, or she's her own person. And I have to love them for who they are and what they want and what they need. Your whole objective is to give your kids the best life that they could possibly have. And the way that you do that, the way that it starts, is not by how much money you could fucking spend. It's about how you treat them. It's about how you encourage them, how you support them. You know what I'm saying? It's about how you allow them, you foster their independence at an early age. You support their independence. Because you're going to be an adult one day. So if you want to do things by yourself, I should support that, because eventually, yes, you're going to be on your own. So I have to set that foundation. And when you come of age, I have to allow you to be that. Yes, you're still my child, but you are now a man. You are now a woman. And you are entitled to be that, because that is your right to be that. And I'm overstepping my, oh my gosh, I'm overstepping my boundaries as a parent by trying to inhibit your growth, if that just, you know, enables my mediocrity as a fucking parent. You see what I'm saying? Like, you just can't, it doesn't work like that. And that's something that, again, like, certain fucking parents, they just will never understand. And I think this show really really, you know, I'm not going to say like it like 100% depicts it, but this is where generational trauma starts. Because your parents were done dirty. Because think about it. Marvin, Lou, and fucking Raquel, they had a bad relationship with their fucking mother. They had a horrible relationship with their mother. And then look what happened with their kids. I mean, Lou doesn't have any kids, but look what happened with Marvin and Jukebox for a while. Until Marvin really just decided, like, yo, I gotta let Juke be Juke. I can't try to, you know, staple who I am onto her, because she's not, you know what I'm saying, she's not me. She came from me, but she's not me. I have to let her be her. And look at that relationship, you know, look at how that relationship has flourished since then. They actually have a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Raquel and fucking, you know, Kanan, they don't have a relationship because she doesn't want to let him be him. Like, he's not a little boy anymore. He's a young man. Let him be a man. He might be young, but he's still a man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if y'all ever seen Goofy movie before, but that's a lesson in parenting. Because you got Pete, Fat Pete. I'm going to just say this real quick, but you got Fat Pete, you know, and PJ. And then his whole style of parenting is being mad strict, you know, yelling at his son. Yeah, they get to do a whole bunch of cool things and shit like that, whatever, you know, but he's not a good dad. Right? And he's like, oh, if you keep them under your thumb, they'll never end up in the gutter. You know what I'm saying? But then look at Goofy on the other hand. He tried to do the same shit. And what happened? All he did was push Max away. But then when he finally gave Max space and then let Max be Max, like, all right, okay, I know I want to go fishing, but I know my son wants to go to amusement parks. He wants to go here. He wants to go there. Let's do that. Because my relationship with my son is not about me. It's about my fucking son. You know what I'm saying? If you want a relationship that's about you, that's why you have husbands and wives, girlfriends and boyfriends. That's why you have significant others, romantic partners. When you have somebody that can cater to you that way. But the problem with Raquel is that she's single and she don't have a man. And she can't keep one. Because whatever that, you know, Tyler Perry movie looking guy, you know, him, that shit didn't last. You know You feel what I'm saying? And then Unique, it went but so far, you know, until he got offed and stuff like that. And then the reason why it worked was because he was significantly younger than her. That relationship dynamic was a lot different than the dynamic between Unique and his girl. So that shit was like catering to whatever little, you know, shit that they had going on deep down inside. You know, because the point that I'm making is that Raquel is the perfect example of what not to do as a parent. You know what I mean? And again, when you're somebody like me, where you had fucked up relationships with your parents, it's like, it's triggering because you're literally watching shit that happened to you in real life happen on television. And this is why I don't have too good words to say about, you know, Raquel, because she's a garbage ass parent. You know, and the relationship between her and Kanan would get better if she could actually admit to herself that she's a bad mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to first admit to yourself that you have a problem in order to solve the problem. But if you're going through life not knowing you have a problem, thinking that everything is all good, yo, bro, you're just gonna keep doing the same dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? And toxic ass parents like her, they can never stop to admit to themselves like, yo, I hurt my son. I hurt my daughter. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I wasn't the parent that I thought that I was. And you know how you'll find that out if you look at the relationship that you have with your son or daughter, or the lack thereof. And she cannot admit to it because she thinks that she's done an awesome, fantastic job. And it's like, how? How? You weren't even able to keep your son away from the fucking life of crime. How? It doesn't fucking work like that. And she will never admit to herself the wrongs that she's done. She can never admit it. You know why? Because her mother never did it. And not to say that, you know, if your parents did you wrong, that's licensed to do your fucking kids dirty. No, it's not. You know what I'm saying? That's just an excuse. Because you're old enough to understand right and wrong. You know what I mean? And some people, they'll go through their whole entire life not knowing the difference between the fucking two. And then they can look at themselves in the mirror perfectly fine. I don't know how. You know what I'm saying? But they just do. You know what I'm saying? And that's horrible. You know, and for some reason this show just loves to just, you know, pat toxic ass mothers on the back and allow them to live and let them, you know, freaking go on without any consequences for the most part, because Monet ended up dying. We don't know what's gonna happen to Raquel, but we know Tasha, you know, is working at the freaking local, you know, freaking dollar store, you know, some goddamn where. When in reality, if anybody should have died, it should have been her, not Ghost. You know, because she killed the father of Kanan right in front of his face and didn't bat an eye about the shit. So, you know, with Raquel, I mean, and especially, only she would be the one to have the stomach to pretty much put her mother out of her misery. Because Marvin and Lou couldn't do it because they have a conscience. Raquel doesn't have a conscience. And to me, it's a slap in the fucking face when she told Kanan, like, oh yeah, you know, everything you break from here on out, you know, that's on you. It's like, if anything, if I broke anything, it was because of you. You put me in that position. I didn't just get here by myself. You was the drug dealer, nigga. I was following you. I didn't have a father in my life to freaking guide me. You was the one that did it, and you guided me to that. Nigga, I just didn't get here by myself. And the thing with somebody like Raquel is that, like, you have to be a nigga that's strong enough to be able to give her the facts. Because when you speak facts to women like that, they can't say nothing. They can't say shit. You know what I'm saying? If you talk semantics and all that shit, then you're gonna give her a license to you know, to beat around the bush and go here and there with whatever her fucking argument is gonna be. But when you speak the cold hard facts of, yo, you're not a good mother, what do you have to say about it? What can she say? Oh, well, you know, I bought Kanan, you know, a car, and, you know, I gave him this. Like, no, those are tangibles. What makes for a good relationship between two people, those are the intangibles. That's what actually makes for a great relationship, not the tangibles, because that's not what matters. It's like, you can't put a price tag. It's like anybody who has a great relationship with their father, their mother, their aunt, their uncle, their brother, their sister, you know, their boyfriend, their girlfriend, whatever, grandma, grandpa. What they'll say that they love most about that person has nothing to do with materialism. Has nothing to do with it. Because you see Raquel, yeah, she went, got Kanan in the car and thought that was just going to automatically fix their relationship. Bitch, no, it doesn't fucking work like that. Because you can't put a price tag on that. Because the measure of a great relationship has nothing to do with dollars and cents. For Raquel it is, but not to Kanan, clearly. Not to him, because I feel like what would have really mattered to him is if she would have actually like loved him the way that he needed to be loved and actually listened to him. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not about you. You know what I mean? And this is something that we're hearing a lot, like, you know, out the mouths of different characters. Like, yo, like, not everything got to be about Rock. Rock, everything's not about you. It's not about you. You know what I'm saying? You have your head so far up in the clouds that you don't see that you're actually hurting people. And it's just like, parents like that make me sick to my fucking stomach. They make me absolutely sick to my fucking stomach. Like, I just hate that shit. Because it's like, you know, we as kids, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's technically a child to somebody. You know what I mean? But it's like, my nigga, I didn't ask to be here. It's like, I didn't ask for a mom. You know, I didn't ask for a dad. You niggas asked for me. Because motherfuckers would be like, oh yeah, you owe me life, or they gave you life, so they're your parents. Like, nigga, I didn't ask to be here. Them niggas laid up and made that decision. You know what I'm saying? And then some parents, they'll do shit like that, and then, like, you'd be lucky to make it out the womb. If they had their way. Real shit. I know what that's like. I know what that's like. It's like, yo, when you look at the relationship with your parents, it's like, yo, damn, yo, if they had their way, like, yo, you wouldn't even have made it based off of how they treated you. So this show is a reflection of that harsh reality of life. Very harsh. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. And fortunately, like I always say, if you're on the right path, you'll meet the right people. But unfortunately, characters like Kanan and you know, Juke and shit like that, they're not going to meet the right people because their parents put them on the wrong path in life. You're never going to meet the right people freaking, you know, following, you know, living a life of crime, selling drugs. You're going to meet all the wrong people. Just because you meet somebody that's cool and shit like that for now doesn't mean that that person's actually supposed to be in your life when you're on the wrong path. So, you know, and I'm going to end my thoughts on Raquel by saying this, or with this quote. And I'm going to put the soundbite right here. You know, Jaleel White says that the first miracle a child can ever experience is the family that he's born into. And that some of us are born on third base.
The thing that I do like, where I like to address it with sensitivity, is, you know, and I talk about that, I say, look, the first miracle we have in our lives is who you're born to. You know, some people are born on third base. You know, and in this situation, I really felt like, you know, Jamie was born to a mother who put herself before her daughter, and she had ideas of grandeur that weren't necessarily very realistic. And it sucks for Jamie that she has to wear that scarlet letter for the rest of her life.
And I'm pretty sure what he probably means by that is, yes, some people are not, you know, born in good positions. And that's determined by, again, the family that you're born into. And you could be talented like somebody like Jukebox and shit like that, but if you don't have the family to match that, to foster that talent and to put you in the right position, yo, it's never gonna happen for you. Because Juke is talented, she was capable of a lot of great things. I'm pretty sure there are things that Kanan is good at that he could be doing right now other than doing drugs, but yet look at what he's doing because of his fucking parents. Look at Lou, same thing. Lou, you know, should be a music executive, mogul, producer, whatever. But look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing. So it's like your family literally sets the stage for all of these things in your life. And it's like when you have family that purposely try to set you up on some bullshit, it's like, yo, I can never forgive that. I can never forgive that. I don't give a fuck, you know, who you are. You know what I'm saying? Because look at what happened with Ronnie and Unique. That was his brother. That was his fucking brother. That nigga left him out in the woods somewhere in West Bumblefuck somewhere. Left for dead. Left for dead. And that's why when Unique was like, yo, what did he say? He was like, yo, just because, you know, a motherfucker is your family don't mean that they get to be familiar. That's a fact. That is a fact. Tupac said that. Just because a motherfucker is born into your family don't mean that they get to stay family. I live that shit. That's why I'm so triggered, and that's why I'm talking so much, because talking about this shit is like therapy for me. You know, because I always wanted to fucking touch on this subject. So anytime I have an opportunity to talk about it and shed light to somebody who is going through the same thing, this is why I'm saying it. You know, for the next person. Each one teach one, nigga. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Rotten Raquel. Oh my gosh. Okay. And last but not least. Oh, woo! Alright, last but not least. Breeze. And in short, I think we're on the verge of seeing his character. And again, initially, I thought Breeze was the oh, they feed us New York niggas or some shit. I thought that was him. I wouldn't be surprised if it was him based off of the way that they introduced his character. Because I feel like Unique was about to be like, yo, what's your name, nigga? And I bet you, I had a feeling he was gonna be like, yo, my name Breeze or some shit. That's what I thought. But it might just be some brand new ass character or shit like that. But yeah. So I think what's probably gonna happen with Breeze, like I said, he's gonna be Unique's replacement, because they're gonna be like, damn, yo, Unique died in the crossfire, that that didn't go according to plan, but we got somebody for you. Hey, this is Breeze. You know what I'm saying? Then they're gonna meet, and then they're gonna click, and just hit it off and shit like that. And then hopefully in season 5 of Raising Kanan, we get what is it fucking called? Ghost and Tommy introduced like somewhere, mid-late season, heading into Power Origins or some shit like that. Because if I had my way, season 5 would literally be like about Kanan and Breeze establishing themselves, and then the introduction to Ghost and Tommy. So we don't have to get their whole storyline in season 5, depending on what happens in the season finale. But we should be seeing, Angela, Ghost, and Tommy, and a lot of these characters at some point in season 5. Because if they're gonna want to sell Origins, they have to do it right. And the way that they do it is by introducing them somewhere towards the end. You know what I mean? Like, them coming into the fold, because Kanan's gonna have to show them the way. So yeah, I feel like they're gonna show young Ghost and Tommy like episode 9 or 10, because you're gonna want to sell it. So Breeze, the partnership between Kanan and Breeze has to be established, and they have a lot of wiggle room. Because let me say, Raising Kanan may not have been my favorite show, but I feel like Power Book 2 had like a really good, like Power Book 2 had great potential, but they didn't realize that potential. Whereas Raising Kanan and Origins, they can really realize, like they can fully realize that potential. And it starts with what they do with the next episode, and then how they handle season 5. And the recipe for success is continue on, you know what I'm saying? Get Kanan and Breeze, whatever happens with Marvin, Lou, and Raquel is whatever happens with them, and then establish that relationship between Kanan and Breeze, introduce young Tommy, Ghost, and Tasha, Angela, and then end the season, get Power fucking Origins, and put me on that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's pretty much it. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Power Raising Kanan season 4, although unconcise.